Greetings, valiant adventurers. It's time to jump back into Dudes of Glory, the fast-paced VRM game that has you battling your way through dangerous dungeons and battling fearsome foes. Then let's get to it. Lately, fairies have been so friendly toward him for reasons he could not understand. As he lay down under a tree on the field, one fairy flew to his side and continued to play with him until it entered his crystal, and there was a sudden appearance of a table, which displayed a series of skills, and he felt that if he could master new skills, he would be able to fight in whole new ways. And so he stands up and goes straight to a cave, where he starts his next dungeon trip. He can remember exploring caves like that when he was young. He was still a kid, and it was so exciting to him, that feeling of not knowing how far the darkness would go. He thought he could never experience that again, but it is really a world filled with adventure. As he continued to walk in the cave, he saw a monster that attacked him. He first shot an arrow at it, and it seemed to be defeated easily, but it bounced back. He tried using his newly learned skill of high jumping, and when he jumped, he hit his head against the ceiling of the cave. At the end, he was able to defeat the monster, but then some fairies appeared from the dead animal and led him to a place where there was a secret door. When he opened it, he saw a small box that had a small ring inside it. To make a memory of his adventure, he took the ring. At this time, he receives a notification from the GMs, who inform him that they are ready to announce the second half of the Fairy Ball with the name Fairy Tournament. An update shows the players that their fairies are about to evolve, and by participating in or winning a certain number of PvP fights, their fairies will evolve and take on a new form. While the players won't be able to evolve by fighting the same opponents over and over again, the top 16 players in this special PvP mode will be invited to a tournament with some amazing prizes for the winners. They are all to get a title that separates them from the rest. There are also hidden titles that they can earn based on their playstyles, while those who fail to make contracts with fairies at first can repair their contract crystals via PvP. With the repaired contract crystals having a guaranteed success rate and a higher likelihood of rare fairies. Fairy self-identity was unlocked, and fairies will act differently than before with this. The latest update is that the Fairy Battle Tournament is coming soon. Earth sees that everyone is feeling excited about the new updates but wonders if they would work well enough for him. There are a lot of people who are not good at PvP, and hope that people don't start targeting craftspeople who are not good at combat. He goes in to meet his friend, Blacks, whom he believes does not need to have an issue with PvP, and he responds that craftspeople have all agreed that if anybody tries to force one of them to fight, everyone must know about it, as nobody is stupid in trying something if it means making an enemy out of the entire guild. Blacks tells Earth that at the Nexia town, that was just discovered. There they opened a warp portal, so it's easy to get warped there, and that's also where the hardcore PvP crowd is gathering. People who want to take their time are already meeting to fight around first, which made Earth ask him if they are splitting into groups. Players making decisions like that is one of the neat things about online games. He then asked Blacks if he's also going to fight first, and he responded that he's not, as he's happier just swinging his hammers while the other players do the fighting. Earth wonders what he can do as there are lots of ways one can enjoy events, and because of that, he then goes to the midst of other players, stretches body, and mumbles loudly that he has spent a lot of time waiting to log in. He guessed that's what happens on patch day, and now that he thinks of it, they said they were adding titles. And to tease others more, he plays his title, which is Fairy Playa, to the amazement of other players who laughed at his title of being a fairy player. Meanwhile, to get rid of it, he has to fight with a player, so ask that someone fight him. Within a twinkle, Rona challenged him to a special PvP duel. He wondered if she knew him as she mentioned him and then remembered her when she told him that she's of the blue color and is a member of Spy's Guild. She uses a lot of martial arts and has always wanted to meet him since he uses kicks. Unfortunately for Earth, the Fairy of Rona did not allow them to fight, as his title eventually played it, and so it goes on and on while he keeps requesting someone to PvP. He wondered if he could really force a fairy to fight if they didn't want to, but that was not possible anyway. Later on, Earth was cooking at home when he got a call from Rona, whom he asked if she's having problems because the fairy wouldn't eat anything and wanted him to prepare food for it. Rona is amazed and asks how he knew, but actually it's because half of the server is asking for the same thing right now. It all started when a man wanted to feed his fairy the normal bread he used to feed it, but the fairy refused to eat it, and at that time Earth was coming the way, so he told the man that it's probably because the bread is not good enough, making the man ask him if he could prepare some street karage for his fairy, and because the man asked nicely and himself being a great chef agreed to prepare steak karage for the man's fairy. Within a twinkle, almost everyone knew, and the next thing he knew was that he'd been cooking for the whole town and could not just do it alone. Rona comes to help him, and when they are done, he thanks her for her help. She then asks him what he is going to do next. He has been cooking during whale time, so he has not had a chance to check out the new patch. Rona asks that he follow her to the new town. When they got to the Nexia town, they saw some people who were having PvP. Inside are 2 players, each with his own fairy. As they're fighting, the one with the wolf is defending himself from the attacker without the machine. The other one with the bird made an attack, but he still defended it, and to counterattack his opponent, the one with the wolf fairy commanded its fairy to make a first attack, but it ignored his command, making him lose the fight. Rona asks Earth why the fairy ignored his owner, and he explains that the guy is a slave fairy user, which is actually the name given to those who abuse their fairies. He further explained that if she hits her fairy to make it do what she wants or doesn't treat it kindly, sometimes it will stop listening. The wolf fairy master stands up from where he has been defeated and made to attack his fairy in anger. Earth sees that something bad is about to happen. He has previously seen a video of a slave fairy user, and when he treats his fairy too harshly, he has to fight his fairy, and if he loses the battle, they take his contract crystal with all the fairy-related data reset. It seems that the guy also knows about it and holds himself back. So Earth explains to Rona that in the old games, they usually did all those kinds of systems, but games nowadays really go easy on their players, but it seems that the GMs are trying to make it feels like an old-school MMO. He then tells her that he wants to take a break because he's tired, so he goes away. He tells him that there are some people, like Rona, who really care about their fairies, while some don't, but it's up to the players what they want to do anyway. The master of the wolf fairy approaches Earth, where he is standing, and asks if he wants to see him. He tells Earth that he has always watched some videos on how people treat their animals, and because he does not know how to treat his own, he also decided to treat it that way. He then pleaded that Earth give him some advice so as not to end up like some players who treated their fairy badly. Earth advises him that he should always treat his fairy as a friend, fight together, take breaks together when they finish adventuring, and when they head back to town, he should always bid it bye before he logs out. The fairy will sense it if he takes care of it well and even tries sharing a meal with him too. This made the guy ask him if he can make some meals for his fairy. Earth feels somehow but eventually makes the meme for the fairy, and as it works, the man is really glad, and when they are going, he tells Earth that he will come back whenever he needs something for his fairy. At this time, someone shows up, calls himself Silver, and requests that he sees Earth in a place where there are not many people around. Thanks for tuning in to another thrilling episode of our YouTube channel. We're glad to have you with us, and we hope you're enjoying the ride so far. Be sure to leave your thoughts and comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We're so glad to have you as part of our community, and we hope you're having as much fun as we are.